Hi Val, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Listen, got a couple of questions to ask you, kind of an informal preamble before we get started. Um, the first question I ask is that I want to ask you at least is that I know you're busy. How are you going to make time for your council duties if you're elected?
I'll definitely make time. I'll be taking time off work to be able to attend the meetings that I need to attend, and I'm hopeful they'll work with me that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I will make it work. The council will be first up.
Okay. Now, this comes from the internet, and there was a fellow recently that picked up a bunch of bottles and cans from the ditches, and he got a whole bunch. And less than a week later, he drove the same ditch and found several more bottles and cans. Here's how it was read on the internet. How come they never get caught? Drinking and driving is selfish. Plus they have the nerve to throw the bottles and cans from the vehicles. Disgusting. What do we do about that?
I don't know. I've seen it for years, being a bus driver, traveling roads throughout the township and even outside the township. And unless you catch them red-handed, but there does seem to be a certain path, and I don't know.
You're right.
And it's not just cans, it's garbage. It drives me crazy. I mean, I don't know why people don't respect the environment more. I mean, the Tim Hortons garbage, McDonald's garbage, like all along the roadsides.
And you're right, it's not just in the township of Norwich.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Let me start with this. What can you bring to Ward 1? Just give me a little kind of a nutshell version of that.
Well, I'm just your average citizen. I live on a limited income. I have enjoyed being involved in my community all the years I've lived here in any way that I can. Volunteering on service clubs. I did Meals on Wheels for a while, and
Okay.
I want to represent the everyday person that's out there, and I want our tax dollars to get our money's worth, because I'm all about budgeting.
Okay. That leads me right into the next question very nicely. What about your volunteering around the township? Do you intend to keep doing that? I know you've done quite a bit. Are you going to be able to find time to continue to do that?
If I can work it into my schedule, then I will continue.
Great. So, do you feel that Ward 1, mainly Otterville and Springford, have a need for more downtown businesses? I don't know what the vacancy rate is like, but I know there's one great place in Springford that's it's reminiscent of an old general store, and I think it was for sale. That would make a wonderful business in there.
And it is all apartments.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
So there's no way that could be converted back into a store. It still has a kind of a storefront look.
The storefront could possibly, but yes, it is all apartments.
Okay, I thought that was a vacant store.
No.
Okay. So are you happy with the number of businesses in the downtown Otterville and Springford area?
Well, I'm really happy that Springford has a gas station and a variety store for those last minute items that people need, or when other things are closed and things like that. And the same with Otterville. They have a great variety store and serves the community well. As far as other businesses, other than like niche businesses or tourist type businesses and that, I wouldn't want to see any like huge business, although I do really miss Frank Finch's hardware store in Otterville. I did business there for a lot of years,
Yeah.
and it was nice and close and handy. And
Otterville does have some nice niche stores. They've got a couple there that are pretty nice.
they are.
Okay, moving on. Where do you stand? Will your priority be for Ward 1 or the entire township? I think I might have asked you that last time around.
You did. And definitely the whole township, because that's what the council is representing, but I will be there for the people of my ward when they have problems or questions. Feel free to contact me and come to me, and I'm there to represent you as well as everybody else. So yeah, I'll take what I can to council. And
Great. How do you see the present spending situation within the township? Is council financially responsible? Are they spending money willy-nilly? Are you happy with the way things are going down there right now? And if so, great. If not, how would you change it?
for the most part, I'm okay with how they're doing everything. I know pretty well they work on like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, like they know what needs to be done over the course. Things come up unexpectedly, and those things you can't control. As far as I know, this probably leads into the roads and the money that they've set aside for paving roads in Ward 4, I suppose, mostly in that. And I don't have a problem with that as long as it's not going to tax us more than it should be, and that it's not going to take that money away from other projects that were maybe a priority before.
Well, once again, you've read my mind. This is the next question. Recently, a councillor wanted to see several gravel roads become hard surface, either asphalt or tar and chip. So it looks like we have I think it's a 9% or thereabout tax increase this year. And I think at least a lot of people are saying that has been responsible for the tax increase. If you were there then, would you have voted for that initiative or not?
I watched those council meetings, the budget ones, and listened to the arguments both ways. There's a lot of roads in the township, gravel roads, even in my ward, that need work. I don't know if I would have budgeted that much right off the bat to try to keep our taxes down a little more.
Okay.
I can see putting the money aside every year and working toward that goal. I'm in agreement with that. But yeah.
Okay, so with that said, it's almost a given that when these roads are paved or tar and chipped, speeds are going to go up.
Definitely.
What about OPP patrols? Do you think they're doing a good job? Or how could you see to improve the OPP coverage in the township?
It's been the same forever. They're never where they need to be at the moment they need to be there. And you can't expect them to be everywhere all the time. And again, if you want more police service and you want more out there, then you're going to have to be willing to pay for that as well. So that's going to increase our costs.
Okay.
Although, if people are calling in with the same problems over and over in the same area, then I think definitely they need to maybe patrol those areas more or have a better look at those areas. Recently, the county changed the speed limit area in Springford, just past where I live, and extended it out more to the west, farther away from the park area.
So it's lowered there?
It's lowered. It
Okay.
went from 80 kilometers right in front of our place to 50 kilometers out further west.
Okay.
It's also a community safety zone now, and it has the flashing speed sign coming into the village.
Okay.
And I will tell you, the police have been very busy parking there, catching people that are not following that. But on the other hand, it has slowed traffic down in that area as well. So
I think I'm going to pick on you for a minute. I didn't ask this of one of your opponents, but I'm going to ask you, as a person that has done a lot of work with Highway Traffic Act.
Mm-hmm.
I know the act very well. And I see all kinds of violations that they could get that aren't speeding. My thought is if they nip those in the bud, people are going to get the idea that they're serious.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do these little things, they're probably going to slam us really bad for speeding. How can we get the OPP to start monitoring and laying paper, or should I say giving tickets for the little things like covered license plates, failure to signal, not stopping in the correct position, not stopping at all many times?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? What about our police services board? Does the council have much control over them? Do you know?
That I don't know.
Okay.
And I do know the Police Services Board, they've been working toward a larger board, including all the townships, not just a small board in each township.
Mhm.
I think that would be a benefit
Okay.
to having more say from other communities and maybe working together, and maybe they're doing something that we could be doing in this area type thing.
Okay. Do you see that?
I think the police should be ticketing people, not giving them off with a warning. I agree. I think
So with that police services board issue, do you see that as the beginning of the end? Let me give you an example of what I mean. If the police services board goes countywide, what's the next step? Would it be fire department going countywide, do you think? Would that be the beginning of the end in your mind?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. I think the fire department in each area does well, servicing and looking after their own. But there's never been that many representatives on the police services board in Norwich Township, so it's a small voice.
I believe they're going to do the same thing with the accessibility too, are they not? With the accessibility committee?
I am on the accessibility
Oh, are you?
committee
Good to
and
know.
have been since the election.
Yeah.
And we get together with the other accessibility committees throughout the county
Okay.
and have we had one in November, I believe it was November, with everybody, and it was really good getting ideas from other communities as well on what they're doing and what we could do. And
Networking is a wonderful thing.
yes, yeah.
What? So will you have to vacate that position if you get elected? Do you know?
Oh, they told me no, I'm on it for good now.
Okay, so I'm going to let you off the hot seat here for a minute. Are you in favor of a strong mayor system? Are you familiar with that concept?
I am familiar, and
Okay.
no, I'm not in favor of it.
Good. Why?
Yeah. I don't think they need that power. And I think it's something that could be abused. And I think it's better working democratically the way we are right now.
Yeah, there's a couple in Oxford County that have gone with that system, and I'm happy to hear you say that because I really don't think it's a good idea either. I did, I don't know if you know, I do a little bit of writing for the Noteworthy,
Yep.
and I talked to the mayor about that, and he's absolutely against it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, excellent. Okay, let's move on. Any thoughts, and this is a tough one, I've racked my brain over this one as well. Any thoughts on how the township could attract affordable housing to the area? We need it really bad.
I know. My problem is there anything that's affordable anymore? Like, I don't know how some people make it work. And I mean, if they're going to build something, it's not going to be affordable because the cost of building is so expensive. The cost of renovating an existing building to be apartments or housing or whatever. So I just don't know if there is anything called affordable housing anymore. Geared to income, maybe. But Yeah.
I must admit that I'm a little bit naive when it comes to this, but do you think there are people in the township who have to choose between rent and food?
I wouldn't be surprised if there are, yes.
Yeah.
Or gas.
Or gas, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty tough to get to work.
Yeah.
To a job that barely pays your rent when you can't afford gas.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will move on. What about rail trail through the township? Are you in favor of that? I think all the trails are in place. They just got to be improved and made user friendly. Are you in favor of that?
Well, since the one goes right past my property and across, and it is used, I'm in favor of it. I would like to see it. I don't think they need to go too extravagant on it. It would be nice if it was fixed up enough that I could ride my bicycle on it and not be dodging potholes and huge bumps and everything all over the place. But yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Do you think the township would be responsible for the maintenance of the trail, or should it be outsourced to the county or maybe a private contractor?
I'm pretty sure the county owns the rail line as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I would believe it would probably fall under the county's.
Are you talking about the one that the water line runs through?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I believe that would be a county deal.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Good answer. So if you're elected, what's going to be your number one priority for Ward 1? What do you want to see happen in Ward 1 above all?
I don't really have a priority.
Okay.
And I don't really have anything set just for Ward 1 other than being their voice when they need someone to speak up for them. I like to think that anything that comes up to council, I will take on a day-to-day basis and research and find out the answers that need to be done and work my way through.
Okay. So with that said, it sounds like you're going to be approachable. How can people get a hold of you? Are you open to phone calls, emails?
Yep, on the township website and is my email address, my home phone number. They can leave a message, I'll get back. I hate people who don't call me back, so I will be calling back. And I have a Facebook account, elect Val Haley. They can go to my Facebook, they can ask me questions on there, and yeah.
Just out of curiosity, are you still driving bus?
I am still driving
so
bus.
So you have some block of time between the morning run and the afternoon run that you could do that?
Oh yeah, basically it's 7 to 9 in the morning and 2 to 4 in the afternoon that I'm on the bus, so gives me lots of time to answer questions.
Good. So if you're elected, then what would be your number one priority for the township? Not just Ward 1 now, but the entire township.
Well, I said on another interview, I would really like to look at the banners back on the main street.
Okay.
I really like going through other towns, especially at Remembrance Day, and seeing all the veterans banners up. I grew up in St. Mary's, and if anybody's been through St. Mary's, but when you come into town, it's the top of the hill each way, and it's very nice and very moving. And I don't think we should limit the banners even to just the town of Norwich. I don't see why we can't have banners up in Otterville with the veterans pictures in Otterville, or Welcome to Otterville when they have their Welcome to Otterville, things like that. In Springford, I don't see why we can't have banners up in Springford. There's a lot of different banners that can be hung up there without causing a huge controversy.
My wife and I drove through, I think it was Dunville or maybe Hagersville last November for Remembrance Day, and they had memorial banners with pictures on them of different soldiers that never made it back.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. And we've limited ourselves to that, unfortunately, because of some narrow-minded vision that is now gone. So let's move on. So that's going to bring me to the next question. Where do you stand on having June proclaimed as Pride Month?
It's a touchy subject, but I would support Pride Month. And I know there's a lot of people that think it's too in their face or against what they believe. But I think we need to show that we're diverse and that we support everybody in the community and that they have the right to live here peacefully as much as anybody else does.
Great. So, how do you intend to stay on top of what your constituents want? Mayor Koch, when he was mayor of New York, would walk down the street and he wouldn't say, "How are you doing?" He'd say, "How am I doing?" So he got a lot of feedback from people, from his constituents.
Yeah.
How would you get feedback from your constituents? Not hoping that they would call and make a complaint, but
Yeah.
being proactive and staying on top of it. How would you do that?
Being out and volunteering. I talk to a lot of people and a lot of them will come up and ask me what I think of this or what I think of that. It's a great way to get people's opinions or learn their concerns and things, just being out there in at different events and things like that. I'm going to steal something one of my competitors, you asked about the meetings that Mayor
Yes.
Martin used to have in the different communities throughout. I think that's a great idea, and I think it brings it to the people a little more when you have it right in their community that they can ask the council the questions right then
Now,
and
I can't
there.
remember how I phrased the question to him, but would you put forth a motion to restart those town hall meetings?
Town hall meetings, yeah, I would do that.
Good. I think they are important. It gives people a chance to vent. It gives people a chance to let you know what their needs are.
Hmm.
And
It's not always something that just can be brought up at a council meeting, and people aren't comfortable just going to a council meeting to address
Well, not only
problems.
that,
So,
sometimes they can't speak at a council meeting unless they're on the agenda.
yes,
So that makes it a lot better.
yes.
Very good. Okay. This came right off the internet as well, right off Facebook. And I'm going to read the way it was written. I don't remember who wrote it, but it says Woodstock Kitten Rescue and Nursery was denied a zoning change in this township. Some have called for council to deal with animal welfare. What's your take on this? How are we going to make sure that our animals that go missing or that are feral will be cared for? How can we get them off the street and into people's homes or whatever? And would you have been in favor of possibly allowing that zone change?
I was at that council meeting
Okay.
when
I believe that's in Oxford Center.
Oxford Center.
Yeah.
I don't think the council at the time was against the kitten rescue per se.
Mhm.
It was the location. So possibly a different location would have worked better, and I would be,
Was that recommended, do you know?
yes.
Okay. I've tried to stay on top of the meetings as well, and unfortunately, I didn't get to see that one. So, what are your credentials for the job of counselor? We know that we got a lawyer running against you. I don't know what Roy brings to the table because I haven't spoke to him yet, but what are your credentials? Either education, experience, your volunteering, all of those things combined. What makes you the person for the job?
I'm really good at stretching a dollar.
That's good to know.
I've lived on a farm most of my life. So I understand the agriculture side of it. I understand protecting the agricultural land. I had my own business for a number of years while I was raising my children. So I'm hoping all of that combined, and I'm honest and I'm fair and I believe in common sense.
So here we go again. Over the last couple of years, there's been many complaints to the township about bad drivers. What do you see as a solution?
And again, the police can only be where they can be. I know I see bad drivers all the time. Being a bus driver,
And it's not just in Norwich Township.
and it's
either.
not just in Norwich Township. It's everywhere. People need to be more responsible for their own actions, or for their kids' actions, or whatever. And unfortunately, a lot of common courtesy and common sense have gone by the wayside. But I guess you do what you can do.
Okay. It is a tough one, there's no doubt about that. And I don't think you've got very big shoes to fill in that capacity, because for years it's been a problem and nobody's been able to fix it.
No.
But I'm being, again, interested in the Highway Traffic Act and so on. I always like to ask a question like that to see where you're coming from. You talked about farms. You talked about, protecting the land. How are we going to protect our farmland when things are sprawling more than ever? We've got a big agricultural business here in town now that's taken up a big chunk of farmland. We've got another, even the township took over where the one business was, and they built their office down there where what could be potentially a piece of farmland.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we need to get more strict with that, or do you think we need to close our eyes and let it go on?
No, I think every one needs to be looked at, and the pros and cons. Like, is it more beneficial to keep it as farmland, or more beneficial to have a business there that is attracting business and tax dollars to the township as well?
Okay.
I'm sure there is land that is not prime agricultural land that would be more suited for some developments or some businesses, and not using the prime agricultural land, even for housing.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question now that is going to be a bit harder. And I want to know how, sorry. And I want to know how you would have dealt with this. There was a fellow out east of town, still in the township, that wanted to build a shed that would consolidate all of his buildings, that he could put everything in one. It was going to make it less of an eyesore on his property. He was going to have all his stuff protected in one building where he could lock it up and have good security. He had an expert there to talk on his behalf and did a lot of research, and they turned him down. The very next case at the same meeting came up, and it was a construction company out north of town, again still in the township. Essentially this exact same scenario, again taking up farmland, and they passed it. I gotta watch myself here. What rhyme or reason did they have for that, and how would have you handled that? It was essentially the exact same thing, and one guy went to all the expense of having an expert. The other guy self-represented, and they gave it to him and not to the other guy.
I'm not familiar with either one of those instances.
And I'm not going to mention names.
I don't know.
I
I don't know why they would turn one down and not another one. And
Okay.
I really can't answer that without
Okay.
all the facts.
So where I'm going with you on this is, are you a yes person, or are you going to stand up and say, hey, just a minute, this isn't fair?
I'm going to stand up and say this isn't fair.
And you're going to potentially be one of 2 women on the council fighting against 2 men. Now I think those men have become better counselors, but let me just say that one is very stubborn. How are you going to take care of that?
I can be very stubborn too.
Good deal. Okay, Val. I'm going to conclude this interview. I'd like you to look right into the camera, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to look at the camera and tell the people in Ward 1 why they should elect you. Now, we've covered a lot of that, but this is your chance to recap if you want.
As I've said many times, the amount of time I spent like volunteering and being involved in my communities, and I just look at this as the next step to serving my community, my neighbors, people I don't even know. I just want to do the right job for everybody, and hopefully I can do that and answer your questions and be your voice, and with some common sense and down to earth, and that's me.
Very good. Let me get this shut down.